Every day of the year, huge tankers cross the oceans to supply the world with petroleum. All too often, foul weather, technical failure, or human error can cause disaster. Disaster for the ships and men who sail in them, and because of contamination, disaster for the sea itself.
This is oil pollution, and this is very often the result, causing catastrophic damage to all of our environment, and millions of dollars, guilders, yen, Deutschmark have to be spent to clear up the mess.
Once oil is in the water, little can be done except laborious spraying and skimming. With a tanker in trouble, action must be taken to prevent oil escaping from the ship, and that involves experienced pollution control and salvage capabilities.
The essence of salvage is speed and a good organization. And that's why here in Holland, Smit International has stacked up all their very special equipment in the field of salvage, our firefighting equipment, anti-pollution equipment, our pumps. So in case of an emergency, it can be flown out at a minute's notice to a casualty anywhere in the world.
Lek departure, squawk Alpha to 105.
Roger, Skipper. KLM 3047 is cleared for takeoff and left turn out. Call you passing 3000 feet.
This loaded tanker has run aground off the Libyan coast.
Forward ballast tank have holes in them, and everything from there back, as far as we can ascertain, is holed back to the engine room. Now, for the two double bottoms in the engine room that have been holed, the rest of the engine room is all right. The after pump room is flooded. Forward pump room is also flooded.
Explosive hydrocarbon gas evaporating from the tanks makes all movement on deck extremely dangerous. With the North African sun blistering the deck of the ship, the salvage crew will have to work with the constant threat of explosion. But even the high local temperatures are not enough to thin out this light Arabian crude, which will have to be specially heated prior to pumping. The precise amount of oil and water in the tanks is now checked. The tug supply boat Smit 52, now being used for salvage operations, discharges a multitude of specialized salvage equipment necessary for the job. and proves that Smit ships are almost everywhere and can be used for almost everything.
Smit Light 52, we'll leave it alongside of the lines, and we can use you fellas as brakes. Roger, 52.
The Smit Lloyd 52 and our ocean-going tug Polze bring a chartered lightering tanker alongside ready to take on board cargo.
In this area. So can we go a little bit further ahead, please? Roger, roger. Full ahead on you.
Hydraulic safety pumps are rigged above the tanks, and connecting hoses run across to the second tanker. After several hours of heating, the cargo has liquefied sufficiently to flow. The pumping can begin. The pumping continues steadily night and day. The last tank is pumped out. A major pollution threat has been averted without loss of cargo. The lightering tanker casts off, leaving the salvage crew with the task of saving the crippled Southern Sun, which is still hard aground. It is decided to use compressed air to float her off. Valves and hose connections, also flown in from Holland, are linked to the ship's piping system. Tank lids must be removed for fitting with air connections custom made in the workshop on board. Every precaution must be taken to avoid igniting the ever-present gas. Other openings in the vessel's piping system must be made airtight to prevent loss of pressure. Approximately 1,000 meters of air hosing are connected up. Very, very slowly, the compressed air forces the water out and creates buoyancy. The giant hull lifts off the seabed. Now the Polze's 11,000 horsepower are called to action to pull the Southern Sun free. Relentlessly, the compressors keep up a constant pressure. The combination of pulling and pumping compressed air works. The Southern Sun is again a floating ship. The Olympic Bravery, on her maiden voyage, ended on the rocks off the French Atlantic coast, the Isle of Ouessant. As the tanker was not carrying cargo, only the bunker oil had to be pumped out to prevent pollution. Treacherous conditions prevent salvage vessels from coming alongside, so helicopters must be used to transfer equipment. The first job is to clear a landing pad, so off goes the funnel.
The problem here is the remaining bunker oil in the tanks of this tanker. And in order to prevent more damage by oil pollution, we were asked by the French authorities to take out the remaining 2,000 tons of bunker oil. Because of the thickness and the heavy viscosity, this oil must be steam heated. And after that, the oil can be pumped out and transferred into this coastal tanker. Here in Bantry Bay in Southern Ireland, some 20,000 tons of crude oil must be pumped from the exploded tanker Betelgeuse into the storage tanks of Gulf Oil on Whiddy Island. For this operation, we use our hydraulic safety pumps together with our inert gas installations. And the whole of the operation, here as well as at sea, would be impossible without the use of our floating hoses.
Some 500 meters of floating hose must be rigged from the casualty to the lightering coaster, a task not made any easier by strong currents, wind, and tides. No time can be wasted. Each man must know what to do and do it well under difficult circumstances. It's the teamwork that counts. As the hose is paid out towards the wreck or coastal tanker or shore, it must be held in position. The transfer of cargo will alter the foreship's trim, and careful calculations and planning are essential to maintain control. When all is ready, the generator on board our salvage vessel Barracuda start up to operate the pumps.
Opposed to vertical motion. So we are detecting some fore and aft motion to the bow section. Over.
That's almost 8, power message through.
Okay, be standing by.
Continuous discharge of cargo and ballasting of the forepeak gradually bring the wreck onto an even keel. The elimination of one more pollution menace marks another success for this experienced salvage company. In all corners of the world, through fair weather or foul, Smit International can be counted on to have all hands to the pumps.